Look around you. Every second you waste, someone else is working. While you're scrolling, he's building. While you're resting, he's sharpening. And when you finally wake up, it'll be too late. He already took what you thought you deserved. You think you're going to get success. Success doesn't get handed out like candy. It's earned every inch, every drop. Nobody's giving you the life you want. Not your parents, not your boss, not society. You're not a victim. You're just lazy. And that's the truth no one wants to hear. Comfort has made you soft. Your bed is warm. Your food is delivered. Your distractions endless. But let me tell you something. Comfort is the coffin where ambition dies. If you're not willing to bleed for it, suffer for it, fight for it, you don't deserve it. You want power, earn it. You want freedom, build it. You want respect, take it. Everything you want is on the other side of pain, and most of you are too afraid to even knock on the door. This world belongs to the men who take control, the ones who move, act, and dominate. If that's not you, it's time to wake up. Or be left behind. No one is coming to save you. That's not a warning. It's the starting gun. Right now, you might be looking for that hero, that mentor, that lifeline to pull you out of mediocrity, but it doesn't exist. You're standing alone at the foot of a mountain called success, and the only person who can haul you up its face is staring back in the mirror. You've been poisoned by the myth that someone else will hand you your victory, that you're owed greatness simply for showing up. Let me shatter that illusion. Greatness is not a gift. It's a battleground you conquer with sweat, grit, and an unbreakable refusal to point fingers. Imagine you wake up tomorrow, blinking at the dawn, expecting applause for your existence. There's none. There's only silence. And in that silence, you have two choices. Curl back into your cocoon of excuses, or stand up and claim what you want. The universe doesn't give participation trophies. It rewards action. Every hour you waste waiting for permission is an hour your competitor throws punches, builds skills, and inches ahead. Success does not come knocking on polite doors. It rams through locked gates when you decide you've had enough of handouts. Responsibility is the currency of champions. You don't get to choose the hand you're dealt. Maybe you grew up broke in the wrong neighborhood or with people who told you your dreams were delusions. Too bad. Champions don't lament their circumstances, they leverage them. If you grew up poor, use that hunger. If you faced rejection, let it fuel your roar. The moment you stop blaming the world and start blaming yourself for not bending the world to your will, that's when everything changes. Because the moment you accept full ownership of your life, you unlock the only power that matters, agency. Agency means no more pointing fingers. Your parents didn't teach you to hustle. That's on you to learn. Your boss undervalues you. That's on you to outwork, outthink, and outlast. The economy crashed. The market shifted. The algorithm changed. The list of reasons why you can't is endless. But the list of people who refuse to be stopped by them is just one name, you. When you depend on external forces, you're handing them your destiny. When you depend on yourself, you become unstoppable. Look in the mirror and ask yourself the hardest question you'll ever face. Am I doing enough? And don't lie. Stop counting minutes, start counting impact. 2 hours on your phone scrolling through other people's highlight reels does not count. 2 hours sharpening a skill, building a plan, or pounding away at resistance until it breaks. That's the only metric that matters. The grind doesn't care about your excuses. The grind doesn't pause for pity. The grind demands your attention, and every moment you look away, it chips away at your potential. You might say, but I don't know where to start. That's fine. Nobody handed Bob the Builder a blueprint for his first skyscraper. You start with a single brick, pick a skill, set a deadline, force yourself into action. Learn, practice, improve, repeat. No voice in your head can drown out the proof you build with your own hands. Results are the only truth. Talk is free, results cost everything. If you're not willing to pay the price, don't expect to cash the check. Now you might still be waiting for your cavalry. News flash, you've been drafted. The war for your life began the day you were born. You either fight your way to the top or you become the battlefield. There are no neutral spectators here. Everybody is either winning or losing, and there's no January 1st reset, no cosmic dew, over no deus ex machina to turn your fate around. Every second ticks away irretrievably. The clock is your enemy if you're complacent, and your ally if you're relentless. Let fear be your fuel, not your jackpot. Fear of failure, good, that means you care. Channel it, let it push you into discomfort until you crave the next challenge, because comfort is the deathbed of ambition. You weren't built to lounge in safety, you were built to crush resistance and stand victorious. The day you realize that every excuse you've ever made is just a chain you can snap, that's the day you start living. So stop waiting. No one cares about your story until they care about your results. Success doesn't have a hotline, a help desk, or a human resources department. The only help desk you need is your willpower, and it's time to log in. Accept the hard truth that you and only you are responsible for your future. Embrace that truth and you transform from a passenger to the driver, from a supplicant to a sovereign. The journey is brutal, but the reward is absolute. A life you earned, not one you were given. Now get up and begin. Comfort is the coffin where ambition goes to die, and you've been tucking yourself in for far too long. You wake up each day with soft pillows warming your head, an unbroken routine of easy choices lining your path, and you wonder why nothing ever changes. The world isn't kind to comfort seekers. It rewards the relentless, the ones who willingly bleed for their goals. While you binge another show and scroll another feed, someone else is manufacturing the pain you need to grow, fighting for every inch of progress you casually give away. You choose to be weak every time you hit snooze. You choose to be weak when you settle for the familiar instead of chasing the unknown. You choose to be weak when you justify mediocrity with excuses about time, resources, or talent. But ask yourself, did you ever see a champion wrapped in a blanket of excuses? No, champions are forged in the fire of discomfort. They answer the call of challenge like a soldier marching into battle, knowing full well the risks, yet embracing them because stagnation is worse than failure. Imagine two versions of yourself. The first lounges in ease, avoiding conflict, never stretching beyond what's safe. The second version stares down his fears, steps into the ring of discomfort, and emerges stronger and sharper. The gap between these versions isn't luck or genetics. It's the willingness to suffer. It's the choice to accept that pain doesn't break you. It upgrades you. Every drop of sweat, every twinge of muscle, every moment of mental strain is your ticket to evolution. But comfort is seductive. It whispers that life is meant to be lived quietly, that you deserve rest before the work is done, that happiness comes from relaxation, not resistance. It's a trap. Relaxation is a reward for warriors who have already conquered their inner demons, not a reward for those who have barely put on their armor. If you spend your days chasing comfort, you'll wake up one morning with nothing to show but a hollow sense of wasted potential and a heart that wonders what could have been if only you'd decided to hurt yourself a little more. Pain is the tuition you pay for greatness, and comfort is the loan shark who charges interest until you're bankrupt in spirit. When you choose an easy life, you're mortgaging your future success. You're signing away your ability to handle real adversity. Because one day, life will hit you harder than any training drill. A crisis will come, a job loss, a betrayal, a health scare, and you'll find yourself defenseless, soft as butter, because you never prepared. The body and mind that never tasted strain will crumble under pressure. Discomfort is your vaccination against the viral blow of hardship. You might protest, I work hard already, but hard work isn't defined by hours alone. It's defined by the edges you push yourself to. It's late nights spent honing skills that nobody else sees. It's waking up when your mind says rest. It's leaning into the tasks you hate because you know they make you better. Hard work cloaked in comfort is like running laps on a treadmill. No matter how fast you go, you never arrive anywhere. True progress requires leaving the safety net behind, stepping onto shaky ground, and daring to build something solid on top of it. Comfort also breeds complacency. You think you've earned the right to coast because you reached a plateau. Congratulations, you just made yourself a monument to yesterday's effort. Growth is non-negotiable. It demands that you break your own records, reinvent your routines, and refuse to ever admire the view from any summit for too long. You climb a mountain only to spot the next peak on the horizon. Those who linger at each base camp, basking in what they've already done, get left behind. Comfort is the friend that holds you back, the anchor weighing you down, the voice that reminds you that safety is more important than progress. Every moment you cling to comfort, you're resigning yourself to the dregs of existence. You become predictable, unremarkable, a background character in your own story. But you weren't built to be background, you were born to dominate, and dominance never emerges from a comfort zone. It demands that you scramble over jagged rocks of adversity, that you embrace each cut and bruise as proof you're alive and fighting. The stronger you become, the less you fear discomfort, because you know it's proof that you're alive and expanding your limits. So ask yourself, how comfortable have you allowed yourself to become? How many victories have you thrown away for the illusion of ease? The choice is yours, and it always has been. You can keep padding your life with softness and watch the best years of your potential fade away. Or you can voluntarily dive into hardship today so that tomorrow you stand unshakable. Comfort beckons. But remember, safety is the only true danger. The harder you push, the further you go, and the sooner you realize that the only barrier between you and what you want is the fear you refuse to feel. Now embrace that fear, lean into the pain, and watch yourself transform into something no comfort zone could ever produce. The world owes you absolutely nothing. That sentence alone should rattle something deep inside you. Not a single person, institution, government, or belief system is obligated to make your life easier, happier, or more successful. You weren't promised wealth. You weren't promised love. You weren't promised a break. The truth is, if you're sitting there waiting for something to change because you feel like you deserve it, you're already losing. Entitlement is the disease of the weak. It infects your mind with the idea that effort is optional and rewards are guaranteed. It tells you that your struggle is special, that someone should come rescue you, that because you've suffered, the world owes you some kind of compensation. But let me ask you, who said life is fair? Who told you you'd be rewarded just for existing? You've been lied to. Society feeds you these soft lies from the moment you're born. It tells you you're special, unique, destined for greatness just because you breathe. But greatness doesn't come from breathing, it comes from breaking yourself down and rebuilding, day after day. That sense of injustice you feel when others win and you don't. That's not the universe being unfair. That's reality being honest. They outworked you, they suffered more, they sacrificed. You thought your struggle earned you something. Newsflash, struggling doesn't mean you're progressing. Struggling without results is just motion without direction. It's not noble, it's wasted energy. People sit around expecting opportunity to knock. Here's a wake-up call. Opportunity doesn't knock, it hides. It waits for the hunter, not the dreamer. If you're not stalking it with everything you've got, discipline, strategy, execution, then you'll never catch it. Entitlement blinds you to the truth that the only person responsible for your results is you. Nobody's going to hand you the business you want. Nobody's going to write you a check for waking up. Nobody's giving you the body, the respect, or the power you crave. You want that, you earn it, and if you don't, you live without it. Simple. This idea that you're somehow owed something because you've had it rough. It's garbage. We've all had it rough. Some of the most powerful, relentless people on the planet crawled out of situations you wouldn't survive for a week. The difference, they didn't sit around crying about how unfair it was. They took what little they had and weaponized it. Pain became fuel, poverty became hunger, rejection became obsession. You either use what happens to you or you get used by it. The ones who succeed never ask, why me? They ask, what now? Every second spent feeling like the world owes you is a second you could have spent building something that makes the world pay attention. Entitlement kills ambition because it convinces you that effort should be rewarded instantly. You work out for a week and wonder where your abs are. You start a business and cry when it doesn't go viral in a month. You put in 1 hour of focused work and expect applause. The world doesn't care how hard you tried. It doesn't care how much you want it. It only reacts to what you produce, what you deliver, and how relentless you are in showing up. The people you envy, they didn't get lucky, they got serious. While you were posting quotes and journaling your dreams, they were building, failing, adjusting, and charging forward. You see someone successful, and the first instinct is to tear them down. They had it easier. They must have had help. That's your weakness talking. That's your ego protecting you from the truth that you haven't worked hard enough yet. Because it's easier to believe the game is rigged than to accept that you're not playing it well. It's easier to think someone else had an unfair advantage than to admit that while they were sacrificing weekends, sleep, and comfort, you were looking for shortcuts. There are no shortcuts, there is only work. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner your life changes. This world is not built to hand you success. It's built to test you at every level. You are born with nothing and expected to make something. That is the cold, brutal standard. And it's the most empowering truth you'll ever hear. Because once you let go of the idea that anyone owes you anything, you become unstoppable. Nothing to wait for. Nothing to rely on. Just you and the grind, just you and the war, just you fighting every day to carve your place in a world that doesn't care whether you rise or fall. And when you understand that, you stop asking and you start taking. You stop dreaming and you start building. You stop waiting and you start becoming exactly what you were meant to be if you're willing to earn it. Discipline is the bedrock upon which every success story is built, the unglamorous engine that transforms potential into power. You can have talent, ambition, and vision, but without discipline, those qualities are like an expensive car without an engine, flashy but immobile. Discipline means showing up when you don't feel like it, grinding through the moments of doubt and fatigue that would stop everyone else. It's the difference between the person who dreams of writing a novel and the one who actually types the end. You don't become disciplined by chance. You forge it in the furnace of daily choices, in the tiny decisions that stack up over time into a mountain of results. Think about the first time you tried to stick to a routine. Maybe it was a workout schedule, a study plan, or waking up earlier to chase your goals. There was a rush of excitement on day 1, maybe day 2, even day 3. But by day 7, your alarm felt like an enemy, the weights felt heavier, and the books felt boring. That's when discipline shows its true face. It isn't there to make you feel good. It's there to challenge you. It doesn't reward excitement. It demands stubborn consistency. When you do something for the 100th time, when everyone else has stopped counting and started quitting, that's when discipline drags you forward. Discipline is often mistaken for punishment or deprivation, but that's only because most people practice it halfway. They think discipline is denying themselves a single slice of cake or missing one night out. Real discipline isn't about the small sacrifices alone. It's about the relentless commitment to a bigger vision. It's refusing to let temporary pleasure derail your permanent progress. It's choosing the long-term triumph over the short-term high every single time. And yes, at first it feels harder because your mind and body crave ease, but muscles grow stronger when they're pushed beyond comfort. Willpower grows stronger when it's exercised in the face of temptation. No one sees the hours you log in silence. Nobody applauds you for the times you resisted the urge to quit. But that unseen work is what sets you apart. Discipline bridges the gap between wanting and having. You want a six-pack? Discipline means showing up at the gym when your bed is whispering sweet nothings in your ear. You want a thriving business. Discipline means doing the tasks you hate. Cold calls, accounting, endless research, while others party. You want mastery of a skill. Discipline means drilling the fundamentals until they become reflex, then drilling them some more. There is no magic bullet, no hack that replaces the slow, steady burn of disciplined repetition. Some people believe discipline kills creativity, but that's a myth manufactured by those who confuse chaos for inspiration. True creativity flourishes within boundaries because structure gives your mind the freedom to explore without getting lost. When you have a disciplined schedule, you carve out sacred time to think, to dream, to experiment. But without discipline, your ideas vanish in the haze of distraction because you never make the time to nurture them. Your mind becomes a traffic jam of unfulfilled intentions rather than a highway to breakthroughs. Imagine two entrepreneurs with the exact same resources. One wakes up at dawn, writes down the three most important tasks for the day, executes them before checking social media, and ends the day by planning tomorrow. The other hits snooze, scrolls through notifications, chases the next urgent email, and wonders why progress is elusive. They both started in the same place, but discipline created a chasm between them. In one life, there is momentum, growth, and results. In the other, regret, stagnation, and excuses. Discipline doesn't care about excuses. Discipline thrives on pushing past them. You might say, I'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow is a mirage. Every time you delay, you diffuse your resolve. Discipline is a muscle. If you never flex it, it weakens. If you skip one day of disciplined action, the pattern you break is far more valuable than that single day. It trains your brain to expect chaos instead of consistency, and once inconsistency becomes comfortable, discipline retreats and you find yourself at the mercy of whim and mood. On the flip side, if you enforce discipline today, you strengthen a habit that makes tomorrow's decisions automatic. What begins as a struggle becomes a ritual, and rituals are the architects of empires. Discipline isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. You will falter, you will make mistakes, you will fall short of your own standards. But disciplined people don't treat failure as a dead end. They treat it as data. They analyze what went wrong, adjust, and attack again. Every stumble becomes a lesson, every setback a setup for a comeback. That mindset arises only in disciplined minds because discipline refuses to tolerate permanent failure. It only recognizes temporary defeats that fuel the next assault. So when you hear talk of shortcuts, hacks, and overnight success, recognize it for what it is, the siren song of laziness. There is no substitute for discipline. It's the unglamorous truth that no one wants to hear because it demands accountability. But once you accept that discipline is not optional, you transform every challenge into an opportunity to prove yourself. You stop wishing for a lucky break and start building an unbreakable routine. You stop hoping someone will bail you out and start relying on your own unshakable will. Discipline is the foundation. Without it, everything else collapses. Pain is the forge where strength is born, the crucible in which the raw ore of your potential is smelted into unbreakable steel. You might spend your days chasing comfort, believing that a life free of discomfort is the pinnacle of achievement, but let me tell you something true. You don't get stronger by avoiding storms. You get stronger by sailing through them, by feeling the roar of the wind in your face and the spray of the waves on your skin. Every time you lean into pain, whether it's the burn in your muscles after one more rep or the ache in your mind after pushing through fear, you're swelling the reservoir of power that lives inside you. That power doesn't come from convenience or luxury. It comes from the moments when every fiber of your being wants to give up, but you choose to go on anyway. Think back to the last time you embraced the grind, when you stayed late to perfect a skill, ran one more mile when your lungs screamed for mercy, or stared down a fear so intense your heart pounded in your throat. In that crucible of effort, you discovered something vital. Your limits are negotiable. The pain you felt wasn't a signal to stop. It was an invitation to grow. You learned that pain isn't your enemy but your ally, the signpost pointing directly to your next level. The second you learn to welcome it, you steal its power over you. You transform pain from a prison into a proving ground, and every challenge you conquer becomes part of the blueprint for new challenges, each one building on the last until your capacity to endure seems almost limitless. Real power is not handed out. No one is tapping you on the shoulder and saying, "Congratulations, here's your mental and physical toughness." You have to earn it through blood, sweat, and sometimes tears. You earn it in the dead of night when the world is asleep and you're hunched over your work, in the early morning chill when the streets are empty and the only sound is your own breathing. That is where power is created, not in applause or accolades, but in the silent, unseen grind. Day after day, you choose to hurt a little more, push a little harder, and refuse to take the easy way out. And in that choice, you carve out power that cannot be taken away, that no one can buy, that lives inside you as a silent promise that you can handle whatever comes next. Every bruise, every blister, every moment of doubt you've ever felt is part of your personal ledger of strength. They're not things to hide, they're medals of honor. If you've never been knocked down, you don't know what it means to stand back up. If you've never faced a fear so paralyzing it stops you in your tracks, you don't understand the exhilaration of staring it down and taking the first step anyway. Pain unlocks doors that comfort never even sees. It teaches you patience, grit, humility, and a type of confidence that isn't fragile or dependent on external validation. This confidence is forged deep in the furnace of challenge, an unassailable kind of inner knowledge that, no matter how hard life hits, you have the capacity to absorb the blow and come back swinging. But most people run from pain, they numb it, distract themselves from it, or pretend it doesn't exist. They delude themselves with the notion that success and comfort can coexist indefinitely. That's a lie because every upward step involves friction, every achievement has a toll, and every victory demands sacrifice. The path of least resistance leads only to mediocrity. If you want exceptional, you must choose discomfort as your companion. You must see the sweat on your brow and the ache in your limbs as proof that you are moving in the right direction. You must cultivate a mindset that sees obstacles not as barriers, but as calibration tools that keep you honest about your progress. Let the grind be your teacher. Let the ache in your body remind you that you're alive and pushing your limits. Let the sting of failure be a galvanizing force that transforms regret into resolve. Every step you take in pain is a deposit in your bank of resilience, and that balance compounds over time, paying dividends when life throws its worst at you. Because when you've already orchestrated symphonies of struggle, when you've curated a gallery of your own hardships and emerged on the other side, the next crisis doesn't feel like the end of the world. It feels like another workout, another chance to press further into the territory of your own potential. Pain is the roadmap to the summit. It's not a detour or a punishment. It's the highway. If you refuse to get on, you'll never arrive. But if you lean into it, if you accept it as the price of admission, you'll find yourself unrecognizable from the person who once cowered at its approach. You'll feel an energy that's more potent than any drug, more reliable than any shortcut, and more enduring than any external accolade. That power is yours to claim, one painful, glorious rep at a time.